The Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein will hear the Social Relief of Distress Grant SRD case on the 25th of August 2026. This follows a landmark judgment handed down in January last year by Gauteng High Court Judge Leonard Twala, who found key experts of the grants administration to be irrational, exclusionary and unconstitutional. Civil society groups PayTheGrants and the Institute for Economic Justice say the current online-only system unfairly locks out roughly 14% of eligible beneficiaries who lack internet access. They say it is deeply unfortunate that government has chosen to appeal rather than fix the system.
The government has unfortunately chosen to appeal this ruling rather than implement it. This leaves over 16 million impoverished adults in limbo, not knowing if the defects in the SRD grant administration will be fixed anytime soon, and not knowing whether they will be able to access their right to social assistance. National Treasury argues, and you may have seen in recent media reports these arguments being put forward, that complying with the ruling would be unaffordable to the fiscus.
The SRD grant was introduced by government in 2020 following the COVID-19 pandemic, which left many without jobs. The grant is meant to offer financial help. However, the Institute for Economic Justice says despite the increase in the grant, it was not nearly enough to buy food.
The second issue in the grant case, in the SRD case, is the grant values and the means test thresholds. When the grant was introduced in 2020, the value was set at 350 Rand. It has subsequently been increased to 370, but despite that increase, it has fallen well behind the cost of living. We have had high inflation, particularly high food inflation over the last several years. So the grant now buys much less food than it did when it was introduced in 2020. If it had kept pace with headline inflation, its value would now be over 470 Rand.
Other issues raised by the civil societies include the non-payment of approved beneficiaries. The Institute says about 10 to 15% of approved beneficiaries are not paid each month. This is based on its most recent data that it has accessed from SABC. Nothando Magudulela, SABC News, Johannesburg.